Hogstye.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Hogsty. It is Alex and Steve here. Dave has some other things going on, which stinks because I need to thank him. He gave me tickets to the game on Monday night, the preseason game. I got to go and use Dave's seats before he did,
He didn't
which is,
even offer them to me. I felt
yeah,
slighted.
I know, it's just rude.
I
You
thought
you would have
so.
you would have been able to get a red eye up or something.
Sure, absolutely. Now, here's the biggest question I have, and really the first and foremost thing: did you
Sure.
wear a real Redskins jersey?
No, well, I wore a Commander's jersey. I did not wear a Redskins
Oh,
jersey.
come on, man.
Dude, my Redskins jerseys are in such bad shape right now. I don't want to take them out of the closet.
Doesn't matter. You can't wear the new jersey.
I have my Tress Way jersey. That's what I wear.
The only way I would go is if I'm wearing Redskins gear. I would not.
I understand that's your choice. I don't want my jerseys to get in worse shape than they are. That's the problem.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
What do I got? I got a Cooley jersey left, and who's my other jersey? I can't remember. Shoot, I'm blanking.
I actually don't really like jerseys. I don't know. I've got a Darryl Green one.
Yeah,
And somewhere I have a LeVar Arrington jersey that I can't find.
I'm
somewhere.
so they still sell a throwback Sean Taylor jersey on the team's
Please
website.
tell me it's Redskins though, right?
It's the 75th anniversary one. You remember the one they wore with the yellow helmets? So
Yeah,
it's got
vaguely.
like the more sleeve stripes and stuff like that. It's that one. So they.
But
still
I would
sell
just be. I would be. If I were a player in this franchise, I would be openly insulted if you took my jersey and you
Right.
threw the new name on it. That would.
I'm with you there. I think if you're going to sell throwback jerseys, keep them era appropriate.
Absolutely.
And they sell a few of them that are still. So, they're out there, which is interesting. They don't say Redskins on it, but the thing is, they used to never say the team name on them anyway. If you watch the
whatever
80s,
was the jersey that player wore, sell it. It
Yeah.
is at the end of the world. You're selling Redskins gear for Christ's sake.
No, it's not.
No, of course
It's
not.
absolutely not. I'm a big believer. It's historically accurate. It's fine.
So how were Dave's seats? Did they suck? Were they good? What?
Dave's got some nice seats, Steve. I won't. I'm not going to put his section number. Let's just say that you get to ride an elevator up to where his seats are.
He told us he has a suite.
Yeah. Well, club level, not suite.
No, he told us he's purchased a suite. That's what he told us.
Well, maybe his suite came with some other tickets then, and that's what he gave me.
No, Dave did not say that. Dave does not have suite money.
No, he does not. But so here's what I'll say. It won. Nice seats, Dave. That's the level where I think you get the best view of a game. Honestly, that second tier kind of in
Too
general.
low to the ground in football is not good.
Right, and if you're too high, you can't see anything. You
Right,
want to
then
be
you
in
need
the
binoculars. You might as well watch on TV.
Yeah. They did something to how they're doing traffic, and it made it worse. I don't know.
What do you mean by that?
So it's always bad getting into the stadium, but I've
Right.
never noticed this before, and maybe it's because I didn't get to the game till right before kickoff, but they were staggering people coming in. So they let 20 cars go in a row, then they'd stop for a second
Oh
to
my
let
God, that would drive
yeah.
me crazy.
Yeah. That's what they're doing. And, it's bad enough trying to get there because it's all suburban roads to get into the stadium. It's not like there's
this is
an
the kind of thing
express
that
way.
I don't think they really thought through, because traffic management is really a calculus problem.
Oh, it
it's
absolutely
really
is.
It's really, if you know anything about advanced math, it's a calculus problem. And so
Mhm.
like start stop does not help anything.
No,
You
traffic
need a
lights don't
steady
help.
you need a steady flow of traffic in those situations.
Yeah. And think of it like arteries. You want wide, as many things coming in and out as possible.
Yes.
Right? And they staggering it does not help anybody.
No, it does not. So, but does he have a good parking space?
Oh, he has
Don't
he
tell
has
us where, but
solid
just-
parking space. Very solid parking.
space. Now tell us
we
about
got-
this. Go ahead.
We got into the stadium once we parked in 5 minutes. We were in our seats in 5.
So that's good. And so, Dave's seats in particular, good view. You said good view of the stadium.
Very good
That's
view.
good.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of bad shape is the stadium itself in nowadays?
It's in the same bad shape it was in last year that I from what I could tell. They've done something that you'll really hate if you ever go, Steve. And I don't like this. So for that gold membership that people can get where it discounts your food, you
Right.
can't just go to the counter now and use it. You have to go to a kiosk on the other side of the area to like use like a touchscreen to put in what you want.
Well,
Then
I
you have to
don't.
print out your receipt, then go to the counter, hand them your receipt, and the guys try and figure out what you ordered. And that's how you do it. So if you're going for the first time, I would say that is what you want to avoid.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's no way I would do that.
yeah, it's
I would
so
rather pay
inconvenient.
more than have
I
to
would
suffer
too.
through that.
Honestly, I would too. Now, granted, all I got was like 2 beers. I didn't even use the gold thing. And apparently, Dave has a way where he'll be able to use his phone to order stuff to his seats.
I don't
But
like that either, doing that either. But
eh,
I'm old fashioned that way.
what I love a good guy just walking up down the aisle saying, "Here, want a hot dog? Want a beer?" That I
Well, of
love
course,
that.
anywhere for me, there's nothing in a stadium and I'm going to eat anyway because it's just
Not
you can't
anymore.
get
No.
health food in
Yeah.
stadiums. So,
Yeah.
but putting that aside, there's
Yeah.
no way I would. Okay, let's walk over here and order something from a kid and take a receipt over to somebody else, and you just got to
Right.
stare at it
And
and pick
they're
what you
like,
order.
"What is this? I don't understand what you want."
And
Half the
meanwhile, I
time.
ordered like a hot dog, some nachos, and a Coke.
Right. Right.
For. And how much was the discount hypothetically in this gold membership?
Um, on the food, so like the what I saw, like I would say the food was actually reasonably priced. The alcohol is not discounted at all, but the food was reasonable with that. It was like I think we did get my buddy got the cheesesteak fries. When I say my buddy got it, I'm lying and saying I got it, and then was just
You didn't want to admit it.
so it was fries covered in cheese steak, cheese whiz,
Mhm.
onions, all that stuff. $7.
That's reasonable. Now that was
Yeah,
the gold membership, or that
yeah,
was the
yeah.
normal price?
I don't know. I'd assume double. I'm just gonna assume double.
Just assume double. Yeah, there's no way. So, but you didn't get raw sewage dumped on you.
No raw sewage.
Didn't fall
There's
off of
no pipes over Dave's seats for that to
okay.
happen.
You didn't
So
fall off, ledge when a big thing fell.
no. Immediately when we got there, we had to kick some guys out of the seats though because they had taken them.
Oh,
Because
did you get into a fight?
no. It
Oh,
was
boo.
two old dudes. They're just like, yeah, these are your seats. We'll go
Grumble,
sit
grumble,
3 rows
grumble.
back like we're supposed to. Yeah, but I think that happens at every game, right? Like that's pretty normal.
Well, at this point, I don't think this team is gonna put a ton of effort and money into fixing up this new stadium any more than it already is.
Well, they've said they want to because they're probably going to be there till the 2030s now, just because how long it takes to build a
It
stadium.
won't take them that long. I mean, they could get it done in 4 or 5 years if they really tried hard.
It depends on how fast they can figure out the land question.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And once they figure that out, 4 or 5 years, they're good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I don't know. I mean, maybe it fixed up a little bit. I mean, I did say I don't have a source to cite for this because I can't remember and I didn't keep it stupidly, but I saw a ranking of NFL stadiums.
Yeah.
And they went from 30 to 1. And all I did is it was one of those things like click on our spam ads and we're going to
Yeah.
feed you
You
new
got to
ads.
go through all 30 pages.
And I got to page 1 and that was it. I couldn't take any more. But page 1 was number 30, which was Washington. So
Yep.
this source had ranked FedEx Field as the worst.
They've
stadium
been
in
at the bottom of that
country.
ever since the Raiders moved because they were 31 for a long time or 29, whatever you want to say it was. Because, there have been different numbers. But
I guess
they were
that's what
second to
happens.
last.
I guess
And then
that's what
Oakland
happens.
moved out of the A stadium.
That dump. I guess that's what happens when you dump sewage on your customers.
The only thing worse than dumping it on your customers is dumping it on your players, like Oakland used to. Look, they're not going to do much, but they've said, and this is the one thing they've kept talking about they want to do. They want to upgrade the jumbotrons again.
Yeah.
Which, if you're a show historian or a team historian, that was the first thing Bruce Allen did was he got rid of like the old, not even SD video boards and put HD video walls up, and they're huge. They're decent size. You don't
Relatively
need bigger.
speaking.
Yeah.
I've been in the Dallas Cowboys new stadium.
And that thing's monstrous.
That damn thing is, it's huge.
Yeah.
That's another level.
Yeah, and I used to work for a company that built the one in Atlanta, which is a giant circular screen around the opening in the roof.
This is totally off track completely, but I've been meaning to ask you this, so we're just going to torture the audience with this too.
Yeah, that's fine.
The new sphere thing that's being built in Las Vegas. Does anybody know about this? So
yeah,
they're
I know
building
about the
this,
sphere, the orb or whatever. Yeah,
whatever it's called. They're building this new
It's
concert venue. Yeah, it hadn't opened yet. They're like
Yeah.
open for business, but it's supposedly a revolution in sound and visuals for live concerts. And do you know anything about this, Alex? Because
I know a little bit about it. I've seen the videos of it. I mean, because the outside where which is all just a giant video sphere.
Outside's going to have the video,
and it's already up and running, and they're like they'll have it like it's the Earth rotating, and then it turns into a basketball rotating, and then it turns into something else. You know, like it's a constant thing that they're doing there. It's insane.
The first shows are U2. I don't. That's not going on right now.
What's the size of that venue? It's got to be.
I think it's arena size. Yeah, I think it's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane looking. I think they spent $2.5 billion on it.
Do you know anything about, from a technical perspective, why the sound and visuals are so good, though? Hey, look, we had somebody pop in. Just so Dave knows, we are live on the air right now, and Dave Earl has popped in on us.
Yes. Hey, Dave.
How are you?
We're doing good. Your camera's closed, but that's okay. We know you've been busy. We were just talking about your seats. Yeah. They're very nice. I feel a little bad taking them before you even got to try them out. I didn't leave any stains. I'll let you know that. at least no food stains or anything else that I left.
Very nice.
But you do need to, because there's a little plexiglass thing that they have, safety. You need to get them to Windex that. I think you should.
Actually, it's funny you say it, because I did email them that and talking about the fact that the only issue that was there was that plexiglass. Either can we get it cleaned or replace it or something.
It's very smudgy.
Why is there plexiglass in front of a seat?
Because they've had too many idiots try and like jump rails. Dave's on the first row of whatever I did not say where you are exactly.
That's fine.
But Dave's on the first row, so there's that plexiglass to keep people from jumping, Steve.
Well, it's in the luxury box suites. There's the glass in front. I assume that's what you're talking about.
That's the bulletproof glass.
I told him, Dave, that you got a suite. If that's wrong, I mean, forgive me. No, that's what I thought.
No, it was club level seats.
Yeah,
the club seats I got.
Yeah.
And the one piece of plexiglass is at the bottom of the steps walking down.
Right.
It doesn't
to keep
stretch
people from
all the
doing
way
something
across.
Stupid, basically.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Or someone walking down the drunken stoop, or just keeping on walking and not stopping.
Right. That has happened, I'm sure. I mean,
I'm sure.
There are stories, unfortunately, of people dying in stadiums doing stupid things like that. But yes. So Dave, watch out for parking. The traffic getting in was a real pain. They've done stupid things there. Just listen to the opening of the show.
Yeah, we don't want to repeat ourselves.
I will say one thing. You are close to a barbecue joint on that level. That is a very good barbecue joint in DC, but I wouldn't get it at the stadium because I saw them bringing in the brisket in like plastic bags instead of, it didn't look freshly cooked. So
I was going to say you want to give them an advertisement, but it didn't sound like they would want that.
Not for that. I love. They are downtown DC. They're my favorite barbecue joint, but I wouldn't get it at the stadium. That's just.
Yeah, that's crazy, because usually whenever I see any barbecue place transport anything, it's usually some sort of special container or whatever like that.
No, it didn't.
Wow.
It was not that. I'm sure they're making it downtown and then just chilling it and bringing it in. That's
sure.
That's gotta be, but it's not like the stadium has a smoker. That's the problem. You can't build smokers in stadiums. I don't know what's wrong with people.
Well, you know what? That'll be my next email. Get a barbecue stand in there. We could smoke everything in there and so forth.
Can I get a smoker at my seat?
That's even
real
better.
estate lawyer says that would be tough.
Hey, they build breweries inside stadiums now, so all sorts of crazy things can happen. Anyway, so Dave is here, so I'm gonna do the other part of the show that we pre-planned, and that is I have the Terry McLaurin Crunch Time cereal here. I don't know why I'm holding it to the camera. Like, no one else is going to see it but you
Only
guys.
Dave and I can see it. Now, just to set the stage before you get into this, this is not a joke. Alex really
Right.
does have a box of cereal that with Terry McLaurin's name on it. For those of you who haven't seen this before,
Right.
the report is it looks vaguely cornflake-like, but we're going to see if this is good cereal or not. Do you have a manufacturer of this? This isn't Kellogg's, surely.
Let's see if I can find the manufacturer. It's limited edition. Uh, Now I will say I don't see an actual manufacturer brand. Let me look over here on the nutrition facts real quick. Ingredients: degerminated yellow cornmeal, sugar, salt, barley malt extract. Yummy. PLB, Sports and Entertainment.
Okay.
That's not a
And the name of this stuff is called Terry McLaurin's Crunch Time.
Terry McLaurin's Crunch Time. It all the proceeds go to his charity. I
Okay.
think for
So
underprivileged youths.
So it's probably Frosted Flakes with his
It's
picture.
probably Frosted Flakes-esque, is what I'm guessing. So I'm gonna open the bag here.
Do you want a drum roll while we're doing it?
I'll say it's a good thick plastic. It's what you want
Just
here.
open it, okay? Crunch, 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 crunch.
Yeah, that's Frosted Flakes. That's what
There
that
you
is.
go.
It's delicious. I mean, nothing ever wrong with Frosted Flakes. So
I'm going to take a stab at it and say that this company makes the same stuff and puts a variety of athletes and
probably
celebrity names on it.
probably a local athlete in each one. But I'd say it's pretty good. And
Worthwhile?
Frosted Flakes, nice because they really fill up a box well. Like there's not a lot of air in that box.
Now, how much did that set
And
you
I
back?
tell you what, the milk is fantastic to drink after you're done.
Oh
eating.
yeah.
That's
Any
called sugar
sugary
milk.
cereal.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
called
it
sugar
is.
milk.
Yes.
But it sits perfectly because it got a little bit of that cereal, cornmeal, whatever in there with it. Mixes out perfectly.
Steve, I don't remember what it sent me back, but it wasn't crazy. It was like the normal
A
price.
normal amount. Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. So we have a
$6?
positive.
20.
Pos-
What does cereal cost? $20? I have no idea.
No. It's $6 or $7 or something.
Yeah, I know.
So we
$1
have
million.
a positive review of the Terry McLaurin Crunch Time cereal. We encourage everybody to buy it because it is going to whatever
good
Terry's,
cause.
whatever his charity is.
And
When
also, then you can keep the box.
and I'm sure his charity hopefully isn't like the Terry McLaurin Fund My Lamborghini Foundation or something.
No. It is the Terry McLaurin Foundation seeks to help underserved children become better versions of themselves by providing them with the tools to succeed in the classroom and society. This includes educational and social support, health and wellness assistance, and mentorship. There's also a little QR code on the box. If you see the box in your store and you don't want to buy the box and just want to donate, I'm assuming that's what the QR code's for, and it doesn't take you to some weird website you don't want to go to. Don't do that, Terry.
I think one of my best lines I ever wrote in one of our columns was my fake charity in my Redskins obituary column from 2 years ago.
Mhm.
So what I had said was I wrote this big obituary, because of the death of the Redskins.
Yeah.
And the last line was, a memorial service will be held on Sunday, September 13th at 1 p.m. at FedEx Field. In lieu of flowers, the public has asked that the family has asked that the public pay its respects by making a financial contribution to the Redskins 2020 season ticket fund, a charity which benefits impoverished yacht owners. I think that was that was in the top tier of lines, I think.
That is a very good line. It is a very good line. Yeah.
Speaking of owners, you saw the awkward moment of Josh Harris.
Yeah, we all saw that.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I saw him in like a crappy, collared like golf shirt. Is that what the moment was?
No,
No,
that wasn't the moment.
Right.
The moment was, and I actually had to go back and watch it because, again, thank you for the tickets, Dave. Joe Buck likes to talk with his hands doing this, the wavy hands. That's how Joe Buck likes to talk because he thinks it makes him sound more emphatic, I guess. And as his hand's just out there and talking to Josh Harris just reaches over awkwardly to shake his hand like he thought he was going for a handshake. And look, I think we've all been there. We've all had that moment where you think somebody's going for a handshake, or this happened to me recently. One guy was going for a fist bump and I went out for a handshake, and so I just kind of grabbed the fist.
That's a huge no-no.
Yeah. Great band name, though. Great, if we ever have a spin-off band, for the podcast. Grab the Fist might be a good
Well,
band name.
the reason why I have not seen this is because my DVR. I was working. I got home in the middle of the first quarter. My DVR only recorded the Spanish version of this game, and so it took me through halftime to catch up with where it was. So I didn't
Right.
see.
Yeah.
I didn't see the Buck and Aikman broadcast until the third quarter.
Gotcha.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
right.
that was in the end of the second quarter.
Yeah, that's why I missed it.
Yeah, but it was very awkward. Overall, though, I thought everything Harris said was great. He says all the right things. But he is just a little awkward on camera. He's not a car salesman. He's a nerdy investment guy. You can
Right.
tell. That's his personality.
I'm beginning to think after listening to this guy talk and Magic Johnson talk and everything, I'm legitimately beginning to think they may really change the name.
I think they are.
I think the absolute effect. I think the petition is going to help drive that. Obviously, not back to Redskins where it should be, but
Yeah, it's not going there. But I think it
No,
is
it's
going to
not going
drive
there.
it to. Yeah.
yeah.
No,
And in fact, I'll even say right now, I made a comment on someone's thread that if Sam Howell has a good year, and the Sam Howell Hive, which exists, I'm sure you
The
guys
Howl
know already.
Hive? Is that
The
no? I
Howl
don't know.
Hive.
That's a thing.
Yes, but the Howl Hive is like a wolf howl.
Mm-hmm.
So they elongate the E, and then yes, I know, Steve. I know, real original, right? But still, that catches on, and he becomes, say, the franchise quarterback, and then they got the Howl Hive. What name do you think is really going to take some serious consideration? Why not go with Wolves?
Or Red
Or
Wolves,
Red
maybe.
Wolves.
Or Red Wolves
Wasn't
again.
there a Heineke Hive or something?
Yeah,
too,
there
that
was a
was,
Heineke
yes.
Hive.
Isn't there always a hive of some? Like
Well,
whoever the
you
quarterback-
always want alliteration. Remember, Cult
Right.
of Colt was one.
the tiny
that I-
tyrant.
Yeah, Tiny Tyrant. But no, I'm talking more for
And he
you
had
know-
Wentz Island, because that's where I was. I was the only one on that island. So
Yeah, well, that's true. You were.
yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
else thought what you thought.
There were not a lot of Wentz worshippers, that's for sure.
no, I was just holding out hope. That's all. But that
Yeah,
didn't work.
but people love alliteration in nicknames. Not a fan club, but the Captain Kirk thing with Kirk Cousins back in the day. Of course, that
Right.
was also Star Trek related, but whatever.
All my point is the way, if you listen to, the reason why I brought it up is that, and I didn't see this interview talking about, because again, I was watching the Spanish version.
It
but,
didn't really come up in that interview. They were talking about the stadium a little.
Yeah,
though.
but if you listen to how he refers to the team, very rarely does either he or any of the owners that when they're interviewed use the C word.
I think I
Very-
could count
very
on one
rarely.
hand. I think
Yeah.
I think I could count on one hand how many times.
It's only when they have
said it.
to.
Yes.
And there was, and maybe this is reading way too much into it. Him wearing a burgundy and white golf shirt that wasn't team logo, nothing on it. Like that. You could look at that and say maybe that's a subtle thing. Also, you could just be reading tea leaves and conspiracy theorying your way into, crazy
nonsense.
but
I just thought he was wearing a crappy shirt he got at Walmart.
I think that was a very nice polo. I don't think that was a Walmart polo. I think that
I don't
was
know.
a
It looked like a Walmart polo.
Walmart. It was way too wicking looking to me to be Walmart.
Maybe, I don't know.
I'm not a fan of the wicking material, and if you're a pudgier guy, the slim fit, stop that. Stop. Nothing over a large should ever be called slim fit.
Well, because usually owners either they're going to wear a suit or they're going to wear a polo with the team logo on it. Yeah,
Right.
It was odd, I gotta say.
I just think they're actually making the right approach. They're just they're coming at it on kind of like a parallel angle to it, not actually aligning with the name, but just kind of staying close enough to it without having to really acknowledge it only when they're forced to. I think they're doing that because I think they really gauge what the fans think of it. I don't care what some of the fans out there who really kind of had the name grow on them as they do, and they love the name. Trust me, you guys are in a small minority when it comes to that.
This is the sycophants on Twitter who have convinced themselves of that.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't see on the Spanish broadcast, I did not see Magic Johnson there. Was Magic Johnson there somewhere?
I didn't
wasn't
catch
on
him on any
either.
broadcast. No.
So this kind of fits with
No,
what I said
no, I don't know
before,
if he was
which
even
is,
in the building.
well, because you never see him at Dodgers games. Very rarely do
Well,
you see him at Dodgers games.
I think he had a pregame interview with the Monday Night Countdown staff. I think he
Oh,
did
did he?
have that.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
nothing during the game I didn't catch.
Okay, so we've talked about the serial, which is good. Do we want to get into the actual game itself?
Yeah, we can get into the actual game, I guess.
Okay.
That's a fun idea. So let's start with obviously story number 1. The Ravens lost. Ha 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 ha. Your stupid record was stupid to begin with.
Did anybody care about that though? I mean,
They did.
I'll tell you, I think the Ravens fans actually did, even though they won't admit it. I mean, go ahead.
In the stadium, they were going nuts when they finally took the lead in the fourth quarter again.
really?
Right.
There were a lot of Ravens fans who were still sticking around for it. Most of the Washington fans were like, all right, we've seen Sam Howell, we're good. Like they didn't care. But Ravens fans stuck around for that whole thing.
Isn't that kind of like being
them.
king of the fools though? I mean, you
Oh,
have
yeah.
a wonderful, you've got an undefeated streak in the preseason.
Well, see, you know what the best part of it though is that you have a quarterback who's a fringe NFL quarterback in Fromm who actually executed a decent drive to take the lead, to take away a meaningless record. So it's like, I mean, it's just.
But on the other hand, if the Ravens really cared about it, they would have left their starters in.
Right.
They didn't do that. So the fans may care about it more than the team did. I thought, as long as we're talking about that, so one of my takeaways from that game was yeah, it was a meaningless game, preseason, all of that. But what I saw from Washington players was that they legitimately cared. There was a lot of energy on the field. There was a lot of energy amongst the players. And winning's better than losing, even if it's a preseason. And now we've seen teams go undefeated in the preseason and really suck in the regular season. It's happened in Washington, happened under Spurrier.
Yep.
And it's happened many, many, many times. But so you can't read into anything into 2-0 in the preseason. But what I think you can read into is how much these players seem to care about how they're performing. That is what, to me, is what you want to build in a preseason.
And in some weird way, if taking that record away from the Ravens, as stupid as it is, made them care a little more for this game, in a way, that's a good thing in my mind, because that meant your players maybe tried a little bit harder. And you need to start instilling that. Always find something else to try harder. Remember that Michael Jordan documentary where he's always, every time it was like, and that gave me the motivation I needed to go out and beat up on like an orphan boy. I don't know what it was.
I didn't watch that. I boycotted the Jordan documentary.
But the whole point of Michael Jordan was he always was looking for motivation to, go the extra step in every.
Well, the great ones always do. Kobe Bryant
Yeah.
had a bunch of weird things that motivated him, and the players just have that, it seems like sometimes.
Oh, sure. Some players have it naturally,
Okay.
But some players need it.
I do want to go over some stats. We're not going to
let's
do a
that.
full deep dive into them because it's only a preseason game. But Sam Howell, 19 for 25, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, a quarterback rating of 123.4. Jake Fromm, who you guys mentioned, 10 for 16, 91 yards, 1 touchdown, quarterback rating of 98.7. And then Jacoby Brissett, 7 for 11, 47 yards, 1 interception, quarterback rating of 35. Keep that in mind. Chris Rodriguez, 5 for 31 with a long of 8. Brian Robinson, 5 for 21 with a long of 9. That's 4.2 yards per carry. Chris Rodriguez at 6.2. Antonio Gibson, 4 for 15. Receiving wise, Jahan Dotson, 5 for 76 on 7 targets. Terry McLaurin, 3 for 39. De'Ami Brown, 2 for 27. And it goes down from there. So I like to start with Howell.
All right.
To me, I think the team has gotten everything they can reasonably expect out of the guy so far in 2 weeks. He looked pretty good. He's been under pressure for sure at times. He's not been perfect. But in terms of preseason performance in about 3 quarters, I think he's been pretty darn good so far.
Yeah, I don't know how anyone could look at what he's done and not say he checked every box for preseason.
Right.
Like, this is exactly what you'd want to see. I mean, okay, he's now thrown for 300 yards in a half or something ridiculous, but every tool you'd want a quarterback to have, you can reasonably say he has it.
No, but
Right.
No, he hasn't thrown for 300 yards, but in actuality, he's played about 3 quarters so far, right?
Yep.
And in 3 quarters, he's had 250 something yards.
Yeah.
Okay. At a 9 for 12, and what did I say he was this time?
Hold
on. Hold on.
Was it 18 for 26?
No.
I think he had 25 attempts in that game, right?
25. Yeah.
He was 9 for 12 in the week 1, and then this week he was 19 for 25. And so that is 28 for 37 for 250 yards, 59 yards.
Yeah, and 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. That is outstanding.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a good day for anybody.
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
Sure.
Yeah.
And and my biggest thing throughout this whole season this offseason was just his consistency. And and apparently some people are not understanding what I mean when I say that, because when I've said that on Twitter, I just said, well, no one's ever said that about him. His footwork was always the problem, which leads to his inconsistencies. And that's what led to his...
He still has happy feet a little bit.
Yes, he still have them, but he's improved that. I even shared a scouting report, to someone showing that, well, he has some major inconsistencies, which talked about his footwork, and then for some reason people have a hard time correlating. I'm not saying he's inconsistent all over the place, and there's aspects of his game that are important. His footwork's one of them. And what you saw so far is the fact that he's been able to control his feet, he's been composed and everything in the pocket. He took one bad sack, which actually the following play on 3rd and 17, he had a really nice play to Cole Turner for about like 18, 19 yards for a first down. So he bailed himself out of that one. So he tends to try to make that big play. But the biggest thing that I really liked out of him when he was under pressure, his eyes are constantly downfield. Mm-hmm. He's not looking over his shoulder. He's not looking. He takes an initial read of where his blockers are at. He navigates the pocket. He moves up, and his eyes stay downfield. And he's been able. And so when the running backs are coming, then would adjust to what he's doing. What Jahan Dotson did it a couple of times. Cole Turner had a nice game. He did it a couple of times. His receivers are finding pockets to sit in, and he's getting rid of the ball. And so far he's checking all the boxes. Now I just want to see it in the regular season. But you're right. I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I was going to say, I put out after the game on our Twitter, if you were listing quarterback tools and skill sets that you want to see from a quarterback, which ones is he actually missing? And no one really ever came at me with anything. His
big problem is always, like Dave said, it's been consistency.
Sure.
If you go back to his junior year at North Carolina, he was supposed to be a first-round draft pick. It fell apart. Why did it fall apart? You could blame the talent, and he lost a lot of talent, including De'Ami Brown, but he fell apart in that senior year. And so it's wonderful to say, the guys and legitimately, justifiably say he's been great in the preseason, but it's only 2 games against 2 teams that were not game planning for him and have never seen him play. So it's a long way to go. I mean, I know the nature of being a fan is to, hype up these players and root for them and all of that. And so I get it. But objectively speaking, he's off to a good start. But this is step A, and we need to get to step Z,
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, you got to go a game at a time.
Yeah, and the one thing I do find encouraging is like guys like Louis Riddick, who I respect on what their opinions are. I mean, he's not perfect, but he has good evaluation on players. The one thing that he even admitted is maybe we overthought Sam Howell after his final year, junior year at North Carolina. Maybe the lack of talent was more of an issue than anything else. But see, you have to be careful not to downplay that either, because if he's a guy that's going to require talent around him in terms of at like all pros at every position,
right?
Yeah, is that really a franchise quarterback? Because once he gets to the point where if he makes that $45-50 million a year, he's not going to be surrounded with all of that talent all the time. So what's he going to be like when he's at that stage of his career? So that's when you kind of find out what he truly is going to be if he succeeds early.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely. And you got to see when teams start the game plan for him. I mean, it's just a long way to go. So I don't want to overhype the guy because, I mean, we kind of pride ourselves in being honest here.
Yeah.
So the honest truth is he's been great so far. There's a long way to go.
Oh, absolutely.
Now Jake Fromm impressed me Monday night.
Yeah, he was a star quarterback on a star team. Like, I know he is not NFL caliber, but
I wouldn't say he's not NFL caliber. He's probably not starter quality, but he's.
That's what I meant by not NFL caliber.
Well, that's the thing. He's barely been NFL caliber up until Bieniemy got a hold of him, because I've never seen anything to show me from him that he could even be a number 2 guy up until this year. And I'm going to give credit to Bieniemy with that, because when I saw him in New York, he was just brutal when he was there. And we had him in the preseason last year for a little bit. I mean, he was just brutal. He was everywhere. His throws are so far. But this offseason, it's almost like Bieniemy gave him like a choice. You know, it's either you perform or I'm going to blackball you from the NFL and you're never going to have a job again.
So, so the question becomes, does the team actually keep three quarterbacks on the active roster?
Well, how does the new rule work exactly now for the 3 quarterbacks now? Remember, so you might fall on them with that, right?
Yeah, because there's the quarterback rule where you can keep a third quarterback and then you get a +1 on the game day roster.
I'm gonna tell you here if you give me a second.
Yeah, that is a big factor in what they do. I think they could keep all 3. You keep Jacoby Brissett here as your number 2 at least for one season, and then maybe if you feel good about it, it's Howell and Fromm together for a while. Like as a starter backup. If everything goes right.
Here the rule is, according to CBS Sports, that the league owners passed a bylaw that will permit each team to field an emergency quarterback on game days that will not count towards the team's 46-man active roster. Right. So you could keep Fromm as the permanent emergency quarterback.
Yeah. I don't think that would be unreasonable.
But you'd have to. So to play that out, you could, for a while, put him on the practice squad and keep elevating him as the emergency quarterback, or you could keep him on the 53, and then he wouldn't be in the 45-man game day roster. He would be the extra guy. Yeah. So either way.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
And I believe that the only way they can get to that emergency quarterback is, I think, one of their top 2 quarterbacks actually have to be out for the game, or they lose them for the game, I think, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so they can't just jump right to them if they wanted to.
No. It has to be injuries and stuff.
Yeah, both the quarterbacks have to be injured, and I think there's a rule that one can't come back or something after.
Right. That's right. I believe you're right. Yes.
It's kind of like making a switch in baseball.
Now, yeah. The only other thing to say about quarterbacks before we move on, I know we need to, is it possible at all that Fromm beats Jacoby Brissett out for the number 2? I'd say absolutely not.
No way. No, he might have some more upside, but for your number 2, you want the safe bet. Go with Jacoby.
Yeah, we all agree on that.
Yeah. So if we're moving on, I gotta say, Cole Turner, just another great game as a tight end. I think we may have a legitimate number 2 in him at the very least, depending on what Logan Thomas's health is and all that stuff. Because he's just impressed all preseason. He's been the big surprise to me.
Yeah, he's been effective in blocking too. I mean, not
he
necessarily the pass
block game.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually has not been a real liability, and he's been resorting to his because he was a former receiver in college, I believe. It went to tight end. Yeah. So when he sees his quarterback in in scrambling the way he does. He knows how to get up and sit up in the pockets and create an open space for the quarterback to throw it to. I mean, he's been doing that all preseason. I mean, he's actually been a pretty big surprise. I mean, I've been mentioning his name, but I was more or less not mentioning his name because I saw something in him. It's because he's been kind of the craze of camp and everyone's talked about Cole Turner, but I think it's actually time to maybe think that maybe they might have something in him, possibly.
He's looked good to me. I haven't paid attention to practice. I mean, I haven't. Right. With me not being on social media anymore, but certainly in the games, he's looked like he could potentially be a legitimate threat at receiver.
Yeah. And that would be a huge win because they totally ignored tight end, as we talked about.
Is it possible that Ronnie Rivera knows what he's doing with regards to tight ends after all?
Maybe. Or did they just get really lucky with somebody?
I'm going with option B. Got really lucky.
Yeah.
Now, if Bates plays to what his drafted status was in terms of a good inline blocker in the run game and good in pass protection and solid with his hands and everything, that makes for a real good combo between those two going forward if it works out. Because then you have your tight end, you can rely on blocking on primary running downs when you need them, when Cole Turner may not be as effective.
Right. And, Logan Thomas, given age and salary, we kind of know, and injury history, this might be his last ride with the team anyway. So Probably. You got to look long term here too. Anything else stand out to you guys on offense?
Absolutely. Rushing.
So rough night.
Well, I mean, again, Chris Rodriguez, he came in in the third quarter, averaged 6.2 yards per carry, and more impressively, his long was only 8. And why do I think that's impressive? What that tells me is that he went 4 for 23, which is almost 6 yards a carry for the other remaining carries. So this is not a case of his yardage got boosted by one breakout run. He consistently produced. Yes, it was only the third quarter. Yes, he fumbled. Can't let that go. But the kid has done very, very well. In contrast to Antonio Gibson, has looked like Antonio Gibson. Not very good. Brian Robinson, 5 for 21. That's decent, right? Well, if you take his long was 9, you take that away, then he's 4 for 14. Yeah. Which is 3.2 yards per carry. So, I mean, I think and I maintain that they need to get Rodriguez some first string snaps while they're still in preseason.
I would not be surprised if he's the first string running back in this next game because, they're not going to play any starters. So,
well, the one thing I noticed the difference between Rodriguez and Robinson is that there were a few runs Robinson had where he overran his whole responsibility, kind of ran up on the lineman, then cut to the inside. Rodriguez, he hits his assigned hole. He's a very patient runner. And then when he needs to redirect, he has a very quick first step. I've noticed that, and so it's, and I believe it was Mark Bullock was one who actually was breaking him down pretty well too. I think it was him. And he was recognizing him between the tackles. He's a very patient runner. And Lord knows you need that with his offensive line because you just take that first charge, you're liable to run into a defensive tackle right off the bat.
Yeah, so. That's a great observation.
Yeah, Steve, you were mentioning his average. I was trying to find the drive charts to see if I could figure out how many runs he had under 5 yards again, just because I mentioned that last week.
About Robinson or Rodriguez?
Rodriguez, there.
I don't have it that right in front of me. It'd be too hard to sort through it live on the air. But
yeah. It would be it's very hard. But let's just say I'm looking at it quickly, and it's a lot of 4 and 5s, which is what you want.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I meant before. I mean, sometimes if you look at just raw yardage sets of running backs, if they broke one for 30, they're going to have an average of 7.8 or something. But then you look at the other production, and it's not that. This guy has been consistent, and he was consistent in his carries last week too.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So I'll give you the quick numbers. It's 5, then 4, then 5 again, then 7, then 8, than 6.
There you go.
That's fantastic. You know, if you're
Well,
telling me only one run was under 5 yards,
well,
that's a
you
good
know
day.
what I'm seeing formulate here is because in the early year when I talked about the Kansas City offense and what they did over the years, depending upon who they had at running back and the skill
Yeah.
positions and how they schemed their offense and who did what their responsibilities was. Well, right now, I really think that the enemy is going to lead towards Gibson being that Jerick McKinnon role in this offense,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to become between Brian Robinson and Rodriguez taking that Isaiah Pacheco role. But to go back on Gibson, though, Gibson when he had him out in the slot, he was just so natural out there as a receiver. I really don't see them pressing hard for him to be any more than maybe a 5 or 7 rush type of guy a game, maybe. Because when he's out there, like for instance, that one the touchdown he had, he
Yeah,
was out in the slot right there.
no, it wasn't
And
in the slot. He was in the backfield, and it was
I,
a comeback. It was a yeah.
I thought he motioned out on that play out to the slot.
No,
I
it
could
was
be
a
wrong.
slant route or
Okay.
one of those
All right.
running back slants where the running back cuts out outside the tackle and then cuts back in.
Okay. But
Devast-
see,
Devastating route if done correctly, obviously.
right. And he did just that. And when he came right back in, it was a beautifully timed with Hal coming back in. And it's just, so you had the defenders moving everywhere with wide open space and a
Mm-hmm.
perfectly timed ball with Hal, and you get a touchdown out of it. I think we're going to see more of a receiving role out of Gibson. I mean, we almost have to.
I mean,
Really.
he's not an NFL quality pure wide receiver,
No, he's not.
but
But
in the role you're talking, he's almost really and truly, is he really competing with Curtis Samuel more than Robinson and Rodriguez? I'd say yes, to your point, Dave. I mean, I think that may be his highest and best use. I didn't think in college he was, and I didn't think as a rookie he was a true inside runner on a regular basis. He's just not that good at it. And so you have to find a role for him, and out in the slot, H back, roll him out into the flats. Maybe that's his, which is sort of Curtis Samuel. Maybe, and Curtis Samuel's dramatically more expensive, by the way.
right.
Look, if you can get him, let's say, 5 rushes a game and then another 5 targets in the receiving game every game, that's a fantastic role for him, I think.
Mhm.
And he'll be very productive. He'll probably get you close to 1,000 yards net between the two over a season. Great. You need guys like that. I think back to Chris Thompson that we had way back when. He was that role.
Yeah,
Different,
that kind of thing. Yeah,
different
exactly.
build, but that same role, which is fantastic.
Now, the last thing I want to bring up on offense is Jahan Dotson.
Oh,
The
such
guy
a game.
looked amazing, right? He
Yeah.
really did. One of his best games as a pro. Granted, it's preseason. I understand all that. I've always thought that Dotson may have more natural ability than Terry McLaurin.
Oh, he 100% does. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so it really, I mean, Washington having the two of those guys, once they really kind of get their feet under them in terms of developing their talent, I don't think it's just sycophantic fans saying it. I think they legit have 2 big time wide receivers on their hands.
Yeah, and before people freak out because of me agreeing 100% with you and you saying what you're saying, people have to understand what he had at quarterback in Penn State and what he did as a receiver at Penn State. I mean, he had the Taylor Heineke version of an NFL quarterback or as college quarterback when he had Clifford in there, and his route tree is impeccable. He's a technician when he runs the routes. He always has been, and he's a guy that would constantly, throughout the game, he will adjust to the corner in front of him. And he'll read what he's doing, and he'll adjust his route, especially if he sees something to where he knows a quarterback would take or a cornerback would take a bait on a move. And if he knows that there's a route or a play coming his way, he will make that move to force that cornerback to step up and create more space with him. He did that with Penn State every single game. I mean, it's no shame in saying he's a better route runner than Terry McLaurin. Takes nothing away from McLaurin because McLaurin's a great receiver.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're very similar style receivers. Just one's a better route runner. I think McLaurin's work ethic is what makes him such a great receiver.
Well, he's
And
also amazing with his hands.
yeah.
right.
Yeah. He reminds me a lot of an Art Monk in those ways, where it's not like he's the fastest guy or the whatever.
Terry
Monk
McLaurin's
was
pretty
obviously a
fast
big
though.
man.
Remember, he
Yeah.
ran a 4.35 40.
Yeah. They're both very fast guys,
Yeah.
but the NFL is full of fast receivers these days. The thing that stood out to me about Doxson though this game, when Hal was scrambling multiple times, Doxson was the guy who was breaking off, coming back, finding space so that Sam could get him the ball.
That's the mark of a good receiver, right
That
there.
is the mark of just heads up about the whole field at that moment.
You have to think that Jahan Dotson really learned how to run when he was trying to avoid child molesters at Penn State. That probably improved his route running dramatically, I would think. Right, Dave?
Well, no, he came after that stage.
Did he really, though?
Yeah, he came well after that stage. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he would not have been born when that all was going on.
The ghost of Jerry Sandusky lives on.
Lives on.
He's not
Yes,
dead yet. That's
He's
the problem.
effectively dead. The bastard needs to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did we say? 2057 or something like that. He gets out.
Something like that. Yeah. All right, I'm done. I had to get one barb in.
Yeah. On the defense, not a whole lot to talk about, honestly, this game because they rested about 3/4 of their starters. The only playing starters who were playing, the linebackers you mentioned, right, Steve?
Oh, sorry, I was laughing when you said Washington linebackers. I was laughing.
Yeah, sorry about that. I know they are a bit of a punchline. And then I guess the two rookie corners played, and they'll both be starting / heavily contributing.
And give Jartavius Martin, some props. Interception.
I was very close to where that happened, and I couldn't even tell if he'd stepped out. Well,
a great run back, to your point, Alex.
Yeah.
59 yards. Would that happen in regular season? Probably not. But still, it was a great return.
Yeah, and
he had initial blown coverage on that, and he recovered very well.
Right. Yeah.
And
that's why the ball got thrown.
Yeah, but if the ball was thrown a little bit better, that might have had a better chance for the receiver to catch it too at the same time. But I don't want to dampen too much of what he did.
That's also how interceptions happen.
That's true. Yeah, you are right.
Yeah, and Forbes had that beautiful open field tackle on 4th down, or 3rd down to make it 4th down rather. Otherwise, not a great game for him. I think he kind of got beat up a little bit, but I'm also not worrying too much about how tight these guys play in a preseason game. I think there's a lot of, oh, he made it by me. Oh no, I don't want to hurt myself. That.
I will say I could see why Forbes gets a little offended by people saying him tackling is not going to work out, because the one thing he actually is one of the few form tacklers that I see in the league, but he just shoots his head across the hip and he wraps it and he just drops his body down. He doesn't try to power through or nothing. He does exactly what you're taught in high school, and that's what he did. That's what he did right there, and it works like 90% of the time.
Yeah, that was beautiful technique on that one play for sure.
I mean, he's never going to hit someone like Sean Taylor. You're never going to see that.
No. Nobody hits like Sean Taylor.
Yeah, no.
I also, quick shout out to Josh Johnson, former Redskin, who somehow managed to stay in the league, which amazes me.
Yeah, I think he's on I heard 18th team at one point.
Is that right? Then we got to look him up here.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous number.
And I think they mentioned that was his 3rd go around with Baltimore, didn't they? I think they said that.
Yeah, and that's the 18 number, I think, is the number of times he's changed teams. He's been on several teams more than once.
Right.
Okay. Here we go. Josh Johnson. You ready? I'm going to read the whole list because it's funny.
Okay.
This goes back to 2008. 5th round pick, 2008. I'm going to go fast.
All right.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, San Francisco 49ers, Sacramento Mountain Lions, the Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals, San Francisco 49ers, Cincinnati Bengals, New York Jets, Indianapolis Colts, Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens, New York Giants, Houston Texans, Oakland Raiders, Washington Redskins, San Diego Fleet, Detroit Lions, Los Angeles Wildcats, San Francisco 49ers, New York Jets, Baltimore Ravens, Denver Broncos, San Francisco 49ers, and Baltimore Ravens. That is his professional football history, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. So technically, you also have the UFL, the AAF, and the XFL also in that list. So not only has he played for about half the NFL, he played for every other minor league team, outdoor football league in the last decade.
I see I count a total of 24 signings to all those leagues. And then in terms of NFL teams, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21 separate NFL signings, which include multiple teams multiple times.
That's nuts. Yeah. He's gotten around.
He's been with the 49ers 4 different times.
Oh, at least he's vested.
And he's been with the Ravens 3 times.
Okay, I did a quick count. It's 16 NFL teams. He's
NFL
literally
teams.
played for half the league at one point.
Yeah, there you go.
And he hasn't been in the league for 16 years, I don't think.
At 2008.
Yeah, so that's 15 years.
Yeah.
16 teams.
Listen, good on the man. He's made a career out of football.
Yeah.
God bless him.
And, he's at least won one game that we know of.
I thought he was pretty decent when he was in Washington for that year. For what he was.
The situation that he was brought into, yes.
Which was a train wreck, and he was pretty decent.
By the way,
the
picture they use on Wikipedia is still him as a Redskin.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, that's great. Good for him. Yes. And he's 37. He's getting up there, man, in football years. Yeah, congratulations to him, because he's probably going to be their backup for the first part of the season, it sounds like, because I think the guy they were planning on got hurt in Baltimore. Yeah, all right. Any final thoughts on this game? Overall, I think grade. Everyone's giving him a C+ or a B or something. It's a win. They played well.
I'd give the offense a solid A-, and they put 29 points up. The defense lackluster, and they weren't playing starters, and the All-Pro league MVP was not on the field in Lamar Jackson. So, you got to knock him on that.
Hard to tell.
So, overall grade, they won a game that was important to them, so I got to give them an A- just for that, for kind of the intangibles.
Yeah, I probably lean towards an A-. I was pretty impressed. Offensively, that offensive line is being held together by the scheme that Bieniemy's running. Yeah, right now it's smoke and mirrors. If they go against the Philly defensive unit, Buffalo and so forth, we're going to really see what that offensive line can do. Even though they look good, they look good because of Bieniemy and the mobility of Howe. But we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong on that. Maybe they are good. Who knows?
It's kind of a Scotch tape operation.
Yeah, pretty much.
Go ahead.
Casimir Allen needs to be our return guy. Period. End of story.
There's no question. He's the
absolutely
punt returner.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
he should be.
Yeah, and Dax Milne can go find another team somewhere and enjoy another year NFL somewhere else.
Enjoy life.
Go home to Utah or wherever he's from. Yeah, the last thing I wanted to say is I found it wild that at the end of the game, Troy Aikman said it was the best preseason game he's ever been a part of.
Listen, it was an entertaining game. A very entertaining game to watch.
Game. Yeah,
it was a very good game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, so roster move. They cut the backup punter, guys.
No!
I'm a little heartbroken. Both from a special teams standpoint and the fact that he was the first guy in Washington to ever wear the 0 jersey since they brought the 0 jersey back. So I'm really, really crestfallen.
That's the most Alex thing ever right there.
A punter wearing a weird number, yes.
So I guess Tressway couldn't handle the competition, so they had to cut him away.
Yeah.
Wasn't he hurt or something, or didn't have a back problem or something?
They were just keeping him out because he was holding on all the field goals. Tressway.
Yeah.
They just
didn't have
punting. Yeah.
And he bailed out Cheeseman on that game winner right there.
He did. That punt
dribbled
that
back to him.
snap was a dribbler, wasn't it? It was a terrible snap.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Oh, by the way, Ron, don't freeze your own kicker. Let's also do that. Let's fix that issue.
Of course, we had Dustin Hopkins on this show, and he seemed to tell us that he didn't really care about it, if I recall.
He did say that.
Yeah.
Other things we had on the list. Joe Jacoby not making the Hall of Fame again. That's BS. Very frustrating. Very annoying.
Now we had, who was the writer, Alex, in the Dallas Morning News writer?
He's got John McClane.
No, it wasn't John. That's Houston. Rick Gosselin. So we had Rick Gosselin is the Dallas Hall of Fame voter, or was. I don't know if he still is. We had him on a couple years ago. It was before Dave was with us. And one of the things that Rick said, and we had him on expressly to talk about Jacoby, and we had him on because he was the only one I could find who was a voter who would be willing to talk to us.
Right.
He was very nice. But one thing he told us was that if Jacoby didn't get on the normal ballot, it would be very hard for him to make the senior method because there are so many other players.
Yeah.
But that having been said, it is a travesty of justice that the guy who was one of the revolutionaries of the left tackle position in the NFL in the 1980s, it was a 1980s all-decade team, multiple time Super Bowl champion, had a famous moment on TV when he blocked for John Riggins in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Super Bowl was at 17. It is a travesty of justice that Joe Jacoby's not in the Hall of Fame. I think he is hurt by, much like all of the Hogs, they had personalities, but they were not hugely outgoing in the media, out front, Deion Sanders type people, and that hurts them. And we've had Jacoby on the show twice, and both times he was very humble.
Yeah,
the fact that he talked to us
very
at all,
cool, calm, collected guy. Yeah.
The fact that he talked to us, period, shows you a little bit about who he is as a person. And I think it's a travesty, and the NFL needs to be ashamed of itself.
I agree. Was anyone on that famed line really a fiery guy? I feel like what's the center? Why am I Bostic?
Bostic.
Bostic.
And you got Schlereth later. He's been kind of in front of everybody.
Schlereth is a fiery guy. Yeah.
But they're not. Certainly back when they were playing, they weren't way out there media guys. They were the type that were going to go drink beer in the shed. Not like the one who were going to wear a fur coat and march in front of the cameras. That hurts them. No matter what anybody says, these voters. I totally disagree with the Hall of Fame voters. It needs. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Yeah. I really disagree with it. But point is, they're all media guys, and they are biased towards who they really saw and who was out there and who treated them well. And I don't like that. And I think Jacoby's hurt by that.
I think we all are in agreement there that that's a huge part of the game and it's not right. So let me mention the three finalists were Steve McMichael, Art Powell, and this one neither Steve nor I really knew. Randy Gradishar, who, Dave, do you know who he is? No?
I didn't know, really. I guess the name Art Powell kind of sounded familiar, but it may be because Colin Powell is a former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Right. I mean, the only one I really knew on that list was McMichael.
Yeah, Steve McMichael, I get it. He's a, 15-year Bears defensive lineman, 80, 90 sacks
1985 Super Bowl, probably the best team in NFL history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. The other two, who the hell are they?
Yeah. Second to the 91 Redskins.
Granted, I'm one of the best. I'm just saying, McMichael, I get it. Kind of worthy, probably. But the other two, who the hell are these guys?
Art Powell was a receiver from the 60s. I think, Steve, you said he had 4,000 yards in his career or something?
No, it was 400-something catches and 8,000-something yards is what it was.
Okay.
I wanted maybe 479 catches. But so in case anybody isn't aware, what has actually happened is that those people were named finalists. Now, it's pretty much a pro forma thing. Once you get named finalists, it's a shoe-in to get selected. So the trick was to be named as a finalist for seniors committee players.
Yeah. Yeah. So one guy we've never heard of, who we had to look it up, defensive player of the year is what I was going to say. In 1978, played for the Broncos. That's why we've never heard of him. He played for the 70s Broncos.
The Orange Crush.
Yeah, Orange Crush era, exactly. And look, we're all NFC guys, and if you're going back in those days, NFC people versus AFC people was a thing, right?
Somebody please explain to me how either of those two players, and for that matter, McMichaels, is more worthy than a guy who revolutionized the left tackle position.
Because, yeah, I mean, by the way, Joe Jacoby probably kicked Steve McMichael's ass a few times. In fact, we know he did in some very important games.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I think another thing also I heard him too is that when they saw how he moved from left to right tackle like he did. So it was like, oh well, you can't handle left tackle. You had to be moved through. You can't handle Lawrence Taylor. You had to move to the right side.
Which is utterly untrue.
Which is stupid. It's dumb.
No, he literally did it because they found another superstar left tackle.
Right. Who was younger.
And that was one of the comments I had gotten from that Russell Baxter that I talked about before. Remember me bringing that up? I've gotten a conversation with him back and forth. It's a sham, and it's led by Peter King. I don't care how much people revere him and love him as a journalist, whatever. He is a New York Giant journalist who had a bias against a division rival, always hated the name Redskins, and the only way that he voted for any Redskin was someone like Darryl Green, who was a shoo-in first ballot Hall of Famer. Outside of that, I mean, look how long it took Art Monk.
And he was almost directly responsible for Art Monk being kept out.
Absolutely.
He wrote about it multiple. I wrote him a letter that he published about Art Monk. But yeah, and I don't like Peter King, and he gets political, and nobody cares about your politics, Peter. Just publish about football. But he does, no matter what he says, he was always biased against those Redskins teams. He was a New Yorker Giants fan.
He was bitter at them because they were the star team, and the Giants were second in that little.
Him and Paul Zimmerman both, who's deceased now, but Zimmerman was the other one.
Yeah.
And when he carried the weight that he does, I mean, he's going to influence enough people not to vote for anyone.
Mm-hmm. I will never understand the Monk stuff, especially. I never understood, given that Monk retired as the top receiver in the league when he did
in history.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Not at the time, the top receiver ever to be eclipsed by Jerry Rice later, but.
Yeah. Statistically, that he was the top receiver when he retired, which is
as measured by yards, and yes, he was
yards and catches, and I think touchdowns too. I think it was all three.
I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but Dave's right. It was both of you are right. Peter King kept Art Monk out, and the same thing is happening to Jacoby.
Yeah. It's annoying and angering. I think that's all we had for the show list. We got through everything, guys.
In only an hour and 7 minutes.
An hour and 7 minutes is not bad, considering I derailed us by eating cereal.
You did. And Dave was late, and so we had to rehash some stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. We will talk to you all next week after the final preseason game, and then we got the real thing going.
We have a week off between the final.
Oh, right. We have that weird week off. Yeah. Everyone figure out something to do that week. I don't know. Go outside.
You could go outside anyway. You could do both.
No one goes outside once football starts. That's indoor weather.
We sit in our chairs for a week and not do anything.
I'll sit on my new deck underneath the new gazebo that I finished out there. That's what I'll do.
Did you put a TV out on your new deck?
Oh, that's going to come with probably a projector system. We're probably going to do out there.
That would do it. All right.
And a big 85 inch TV out there.
Get one with wheels.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you all next week.
All right. Take it easy, fellas.
Later.